Hey guys, this is Nez, and this week I am going to tell you about my bullying experience. There are a few things I want to say before I start. The first is I'm sorry if this video isn't the best. I tried sitting down and writing out a script for this video, but it just didn't feel right. So it's just me talking to you. And the second thing that I want to tell you, my bullying happened at church. It wasn't at school, so it's a little bit different. That being said, here we go. Church for me, growing up, was always a very big thing. I live in the Bible Belt. I live in Texas. That says it all. I was very religious growing up. My family and I went to church multiple times every week. It was a wonderful, wonderful place, and I did learn a lot from it, so in a way I'm sort of grateful that I had that in my upbringing. Everything was going very well until a new family came in and they had a daughter who was my age. I don't want to use this girl's real name. I think that would be a little bit tacky. So we're just going to call her Sarah. And Sarah was very mean to me from the get-go. And she was sort of the force that rallied the other girls to be a little bit mean to me. Not everyone was mean. I still have a few very good friends who I met through church, who I'm still very, very close with, who I love very much. That being said, Sarah made things hard for me. I was already having a hard time trying to figure out why I felt so different. And now I know that was because I do have the Asperger's syndrome, but I had not been diagnosed yet. So it was very hard for me to notice things. And Sarah picked up on that, and she made fun of me for everything. She made fun of me for talking funny. She made fun of me for thinking differently. She made fun of me for everything under the sun, from looks. I've already said she made fun of the way I talked. But it really was very damaging to my self-esteem. It was a horrible thing to go through, and if you're going through it right now, I'm so sorry. My heart goes out to you. For me, I think the first time I really was able to say, oh, I have a bully. I got a letter from another girl who was in our church, and the letter said, "Dear Nez, I'm so sorry. I wish I could be your friend, but Sarah won't let me." And I was shocked. I had no idea that somebody could dislike you enough to force another person not to be your friend. Getting a letter like that is a very heartbreaking experience. If you've ever gotten one, I'm so sorry. Again, my heart just goes out to you because I know how horrible it is. If you've not, I'm glad that you have not experienced that. It's something I would not wish on anyone. So I just sort of started to accept that church was not going to be the warm place that it had been for me, and that made me question a lot. I'm trying to sort of leave my religious views out of this and how it felt. I'm going to tackle that in another video. For now, I'm just focusing on the bullying aspect. And what that did to me was make me feel completely isolated. I felt like I was all alone. Nobody cared about me. Why would they? When Sarah was saying all these nasty things, it must have been true. Otherwise, why would she say them? So time went on, and I got to the point in church where I was at the age where you join the youth group. And one day, this man came up and said, "Hi, I'm going to be your youth minister, and I would like to talk to you and get to know you." And I said, "Oh, this will be a good thing. This will be fun." So he and I were talking, and he seemed like a very nice man, and he pulled out his wallet and said, "Let me show you some pictures of my family." And I said, "Oh, that'll be fantastic." So he opened his wallet, and there were his wife and his two sons, who I had met, who were very lovely people. And he turned the page, and there was Sarah. And I couldn't believe it. I said, "Oh my gosh, I know her." And he said, "Yeah, she's in your class, isn't she?" And I said, "Yes, she is. But she's very mean to me." And he said, "What?" And I said, she's mean to me. Now, I don't know if he ever spoke with her. I don't know what he would have said to her. I don't claim to know that, but the situation did not improve. And I was in middle school at that point, and I started telling my parents, I don't want to go to church anymore. I don't want to go to church anymore. It's not fun anymore. And they said, well, you know, tough luck, kid, you're going to church. And I'm like, dang. So I was sort of forced into going, and it started to jade my view of things. And we'll talk about that in another video. But I understand when you say, I don't want to go to school because there's a bully. And I'm sorry if you're going through that. I am very, very sorry. But back on my little thought here. I remember when I hit high school, Sarah tried to bring the bullying to school. Thankfully, I went to a very large school, and she may have made me unpopular with her circle of friends, but we didn't hang out with the same people. So at school, I had a very good time. It was just at church. And when I was 16, I quit going. That was the only solution that I could see. I just quit going. I got a few more letters from people asking me to come back and saying that they wished I would come back, but they couldn't do anything about Sarah. And I just thought to myself, I don't want to be in that situation, so I'm not going to put myself in that situation. Up until recently, I didn't know how much, if any, involvement the youth minister had had. But I had been talking to an old friend, and she told me something that opened my eyes and made me think a little bit differently. Once I had gone back for some event, my parents had really wanted me to go, so I went. And while I was there, my friend and I decided that we were going to sit together during the service. And while we were on our way, the youth minister stopped and pulled her aside and said, I think it's great you can still be friends with Nez when she's so difficult. And my friend said, what do you mean? And he said, well, you know, she's just so difficult. She's just such a difficult person, and she's so difficult to get along with. And that really opened my eyes to just how bad the situation really was. That's really my story. Now, if you're going through this, and if it is happening to you at church, please go talk to your church's staff, talk to your youth minister, talk to his boss, talk to your pastor, talk to whoever you need to talk to get the situation taken care of. If that does not work, because it is church, because it is not a school, you have the option to leave and find a different church. If you're being bullied that badly the way I was, and if it's hurting you the way it was hurting me, I can promise you finding a new church will be much less painful than staying where you are now. And then just for anybody who's being bullied right now, for whatever reason, wherever you're being bullied, remember, it gets better. It gets so much better. The bullies go away and you grow up and everything gets better. Please, I beg of you, don't do anything stupid right now. It gets so much easier when I know that when you're young you feel like it's the end of the world, but it's not. It gets better. That's really all I have to say for this video. Again, I'm sorry it's not the best, but there was no script. Next week, I think I'm going to tell you a little more about how this experience changed my views on religion. Till then, I'm Nez. Bye, guys. And remember, it gets better.